Yeah.
And I think we are recording. Cool. All right, guys. This is another session interview with people that are doing things in fitness, right? I've got Dusty Hyland on. Dusty, you're on the other side of the country from me. I'm in the Baltimore area. Where are you at?
I'm in Los Angeles, California.
LA.
So,
See, that's on my list of things to move. That's on my list of places to move to. If I had a choice to move, not all the areas, some areas in LA.
the weather is probably the best part. The
Yeah,
traffic is, you know,
it is
from
what it is.
for the last
People don't get out of their little
forever.
areas too much, right?
Not too much.
Like if you
Yeah, I
live
mean, I've lived here
in
for a
Marina
while
Del
and I've
Rey.
kind of migrated around a bit, but
Okay.
settled in Culver City, and it's somewhat central to Los Angeles and the surrounding area, and opened a gym there in 2010. So
2010. Okay.
been doing strength and conditioning for almost 15 years. And before that, really started with sports and athletics as a kiddo, and fell in love with gymnastics. And that was sort of my base for sport and athletics as a kid.
Okay.
Competed through college, Division I, went to school at UC Santa Barbara, and then did some professional shows after that, traveled a little bit, and then settled in LA. Worked in the entertainment industry for a short period of time before I opened the gym. So,
Gotcha. Is there anybody in LA who hasn't worked for the entertainment industry?
well, I think that's why primarily people come here, right? They
Right,
they want the
right.
action, they want to get involved in entertainment or film or production, and the side of those things that's still is something that I'm interested in, but
Mhm.
um, after doing some stunt work for a little while and doing some other things, in my early 30s, I just realized I didn't want to do that for a long period of time, and I wanted to figure out a different way to not only make money and stay healthy, but affect change and help
Yeah,
people get fitter and healthier and happier with their stuff.
right. So tell
So
us a little about the gym you opened in 2010. So that was the CrossFit gym.
yeah,
That was
it's
DogTown?
Dogtown. Yeah.
Yep.
So I found CrossFit in 2008, and was using it on my own to supplement my gymnastic training and some of the training I was doing as a stuntman, and sort of just fell in love with it. But I really realized the value of body weight training, gymnastics, calisthenics, and how foundational it would be to not only CrossFit training, but strength and conditioning in general and overall health and wellness as people aged. So when we launched Dogtown, I was one of the first to have a gymnastics only training class every week for our clients.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
and it really kind of bridged the gap between just general, what CrossFit is, and it's just sort of mixed modal conditioning and high intensity stuff, and weightlifting, and really bringing in sort of that dynamic of play and kind of taking your athleticism and learning skills and kind of being a kid again. And that's what I still love about gymnastics is
Right.
no matter how old you are, you can still learn how to do some of this stuff, and it's a heck of a lot of fun.
I like what you
So
said there. Like no matter how old you are, right? When most people think of exercise, particularly when they're getting older, right? And I say older with air
yeah,
quotes, right? 35,
yeah,
40, 45. How old are you?
I'm 45.
45. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I got a couple years. I'm 48. But
nice.
as soon as, as we get into those advanced ages, people start wondering, especially if they haven't done anything before, like, how do I get started? What do I do? And
Hmm.
the importance and the benefit of doing body weight stuff, I think for me, the biggest thing is it's low risk, right? You don't have
Absolutely.
equipment. It's easy to learn. Like like you said, you're just playing, like learning how does your body work, but you can still get huge benefit in a bunch of different areas.
Well, I mean, I didn't even pick up a barbell till 2008. And the fact that I'm 45 and I can strict press over 225 pounds is not lost on the fact that it has nothing to do with weight training. It had everything to do with core strength, right?
Yep.
Reps, development over time, getting upside down, spending time on my hands, um, working upper thoracic mobility and flexibility, and maintaining a strong, supple spine,
Yeah.
those are things that are often lost. And I mean, in most people come to our space because they're trying to make dramatic change.
Mhm.
They're in pain, in some pain, whether it's they're overweight or they're stressed to the gills or they've been injured multiple times. And what we need to recognize, what I've recognized from the get-go, is that the slower we take those progressions, the more we put into bodyweight exercise and identifying where dysfunction lies, and then you know progressing backwards and regressing some of the movements so that we're moving in a proper manner, really kind of pays off down the road.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest thing for a lot of us, or a lot of people that want to get in shape, is they're impatient, right? It turns into this piece where I want to get in shape in 6 weeks. I
Right.
want to, I want to look good on the beach, and that's great. But like, why not be able to do a handstand on the beach when you're 50, right? No,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that sounds
Right.
silly, but like,
Right.
that is something that is actually very doable,
Yeah.
um, with
Well,
some work, some balance, and some choices that you can make on a very small scale, even if
yeah.
you're only training 3 times a week.
And not even, some people may say that's ridiculous. Why would I want to do handstands on the beach? Okay, let's take it down a notch. What if you just could go to the beach and use one of the pull-up bars and do some pull-ups?
Well, there you go.
Right.
Because you
Right. I mean,
feel
it's nothing
great,
crazy.
you look
Just,
great, and you're at the
yeah.
beach, and you're
Right.
being athletic.
Yeah. So
And who
it
cares
doesn't
how
have to
old you
be
are?
right. It doesn't have to be crazy, anything like that. What's
Right. Sure.
the crisscross development path, right, of an advanced athlete? You've got plenty of advanced athletes, I'm sure, that you worked with,
Hmm.
and also the people who haven't done anything, they're just getting started. The
Right.
crisscross development path of an athlete who's saying, I want to get better at something. I'm already strong, I'm already fast. In many cases, like you said, you have to regress them and fix movement issues, where you're starting with the same methodology of identifying and working movement patterns and how to activate and what range of motion looks like and things like that with new people, but they're going in the other direction. We got people that are way advanced doing the same thing as people that are just getting started doing the same thing. And it's just kind of a crazy. Can you kind of talk about that for a second, like what that's all about?
Well, I think that, wherever you're starting at, and, you know, whether you're a person that needs to lose 50 pounds because you're diabetic and you're getting off the couch, or you're a regional athlete and you're trying to get better, so that you can compete at a higher level in, say, CrossFit or something along those lines.
Mhm.
There's 4 or 5 pillars that we kind of fall back on that really kind of dictate your ability to progress in any training program or system.
Mhm.
And the first one is, belief and mindset, right? Um, you know, Getting rooted in, the what I like to call our facts and truth about where we're starting from. If we understand where we're starting from, and we've come to terms with that, then we can move on and move into sort of, an assessment phase that gets you going in the right direction, right? Habits, things that you do naturally or unnaturally well, are going to be things we're going to need to constantly water. And those are the basics, right? When you do the basics very, very well, things move in a systematic, path, right? So, example, right? Mindset, we get that right.
Mhm.
Dial in, we look at nutrition, right? Depending upon what your goals are, we structure that piece
Yep.
so that, we have a short-term goal and then a longer-term goal, and then we dial in, our training program so that it should support your lifestyle and your life choices, right? Um,
What does that mean? Training program supporting your lifestyle? Because I
well,
think that's a big piece. A lot of people have this expectation: if I'm getting started, I've got to work out 5 days a week or 3 days a week, or I got to spend an hour in the gym. Like,
well,
we've got
what
all
is
these
real? What is
preconceptions.
realistic? I think that, what I tell people that just come into the gym is something, is a little more broad. But if we're talking about something specific,
Yeah.
we can get down to brass tacks. And I think that you need to move your body physically at least 3 times a week,
Okay.
right? And that's a minimum. That's not including, you know, a walk, you know, getting
So when
out,
you say move
getting
your
outside.
body, what do you mean? Because I think that a lot of people have different definitions. For me, that means get your heart rate up, move some weight, whether it's body weight, external weight, whatever. Do something that's got some intensity to it, not just like you said, hop on an elliptical or go for a walk.
Right, definitely some structure, right? So we're, in those 3 hour, 1 hour, at least 1 hour training sessions, you're doing some preparatory piece, mobility, warm up. You're going to be doing some strength training in some capacity, whether it's body weight or with a barbell or with a kettlebell. And then you're going to be doing some component, not every day, of cardiovascular exercise, right? High intensity stuff. We do need to get our heart rate up on the regular. It promotes so much growth in terms of what we want out of long-term health and fitness.
Yeah.
There's value in that. So
Okay. All right.
the low aerobic stuff is an additive, but it's not a requirement. But I think those are vital.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people all the time that the low level aerobic stuff is great if you've never done anything, and it's okay from a mental standpoint to get you in a routine of doing something, which is better than nothing.
Right,
But the return on
walking on those off days for a lot of
right,
folks
yeah,
that are
and
just getting off the couch is fantastic.
but the return on investment for making it your main primary routine is just not there. It's just not there.
No, nope.
All right, so you were
Got to get the
saying
heart rate up.
be honest with yourself. Mindset is one. Habits is two. What's the third pillar?
Well, definitely nutrition.
Mhm.
You know, you're gonna have to, you don't need to diet per se, but you definitely need to understand how much food and fuel your body needs to chase the goal that you are after. I think that a lot of people don't think they know,
Yeah,
and have no clue.
right.
And whether it's weight loss or whether it's weight gain, right? Or whether it's
Yeah, absolutely.
it's muscle gain. I mean, those are two very different um, tents to be in, right? And those have so many varying issues that come to them. Come with age, right? Come with metabolism, come with your specific goals, right? You may
Mhm.
come to me and say, "Hey, I'm 48 and I want to, compete in weightlifting next year." And I would say, "Hey, what do you weigh? What's your body fat, right? What are you currently eating? How
Yep.
many calories are we getting in? We may need to, we may need to tweak your macros so that you're getting more energy, and we're also building muscle, and not just depleting our body day after day. Your
Right.
body has to recover, and those are
And then
such crazy components to building out something for Bronson. It's not crazy, but it just takes a little bit of effort, focus, and then application, right?
application and
We want to for
experience,
sure
right?
get it done.
It's the one thing that I've never understood about society and people in general is we hire a mechanic to work on our car. We hire an electrician to come fix stuff in our house. We get a plumber. We get an HVAC person. We have someone do our yard work, right? But when it comes to doing anything for our own bodies, we think we can do it ourselves. And we have an aversion to hiring someone to help us with that and
I
then listening to what
completely
they say,
I
right?
completely
So,
agree. I mean, changing the way you eat is not a simple matter. I mean, it is, but in terms of your connection, your emotional connection to food, for a lot of people,
yeah.
it's difficult. You get into patterns and habits that become destructive, right? As we know, it's just eating blocks of food, but when you stack sugar on sugar on sugar on sugar, all of a sudden we're in a place where we don't want to be, right?
Right.
We've got an addiction to a chemical. We're having spikes and crashes, right? That's emotional, right? And then you got that coupled with inactivity, and then all of a sudden we got a recipe for the obesity of America, which
Yeah.
is a place that is very easy to get to. We got parents that are out there that don't
Mhm.
understand that they don't have enough, that think they don't have enough time to take care of themselves. They're putting their children first, and they can't get to the gym. That's why they need somebody like you or me,
That
a,
is,
a
that is,
professional that can help create space,
yeah.
give them an opportunity, and get them what they're after.
Yeah. That is a very frustrating thing to see. And I see it literally every single day is kids at the gym doing a program, they're at their sports program, or they're doing some group thing, and the parents are sitting there watching and not taking that. Like, you're at the same gym, you're here for an hour and a half, there's things going on, you could be doing something too, but they just sit there, watch their kid. And it's like, I don't, like, come on guys, you can do this too, it's okay,
Right.
work out with your kid, do something and participate with them, whatever it may be. It just,
There's this
I wish
perception
people
that,
would take that time.
yeah, I mean, there's a certain amount of energy everyone thinks they have.
Mhm.
And what I've come to realize is most folks are underfed, and then they're eating at the wrong time, and
Yep.
they're emotional, and then they make bad choices,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A bag of Cheetos, well, may give you fuel to get through your son's swim practice, set you up later for not eating a good dinner, and then probably neglecting something else, and then all of a sudden the wheels go in the wrong direction, right?
Right. Right.
So discipline is a big component to any training program. And then
Mhm.
obviously compliance. How do you get people to comply? I mean, again, it all goes back to mindset and shifting things into a place where we're gaining freedom, we're gaining time, and we're getting things back for ourselves.
Yeah. How does somebody start a fitness program, and like what are things that someone can do when they're getting started with the fitness program to help them comply, to help it be something that they can do, 2, 3, 4 days a week consistently, and not really have that fall off?
Well, I mean, one, find a tribe, find a group
Mhm.
that is motivating, because everyone needs support.
Yep.
One of the biggest components of being a coach is that you are the ultimate support. And the way you, as a coach, implement training, communicate with your client, and hold them accountable is some of the biggest pieces, right? Like, um, the magic is in the work, right? But showing up and just showing up is 90% of it. And I hate to say that, but
It
to
is.
get
Yeah.
started, it's literally just having the courage to get up every day when you don't want to do it. And
Yeah.
that's why I say 3 times a week is plenty, because committing to any more than that is right, is
Right. You
what
don't want to.
is just setting yourself up for a letdown. What we want to do is we want to set the bar at a reasonable level that
Mhm.
allows people to progress and feel the progression and not be overwhelmed, right?
Right. Right.
It's very American to overcommit and underdeliver.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
So
it is.
so so let's start off and just chip away at this thing. And that's
Yes.
really the approach,
Right.
right? Like,
Right. All right.
learn to do a push-up,
Just one thing, right? Just pick one thing and go. Yeah. Right.
learn to squat. I mean, what's the most important thing? To be able to get off the couch, get up
Yeah.
out of that chair without any help, right?
Yeah. Well, that brings up a good point. In your, how would you like defining or helping someone come up with a goal for fitness? Like, why are they doing this? What are they doing this for? I would assume that you're like me, and it's not about how strong someone can be. It's not about what cool movements they can execute. It's about quality of life. It's about, how long can you be active? How long can you enjoy your life? Right.
A good question is, what memories do you want to create?
Oh yeah, I like that.
um, you know, where do you see yourself? Where do what's the ideal state for Bronson? Like, what's your dream 48-year-old Bronson? Where are we taking him, right?
Hmm.
What's he want to do? And then how do we reverse engineer that, right? Like, if I said to you, hey, Bronson, you want to go to Machu Picchu in September, and
Right.
you want to have your shirt off the whole time, and I know you're not feeling up for it right now, but the goal is this, right? So let's commit to our training program. We're going to start working out 3 times a week. Here's the stuff. you know is that something? I don't know if you have kids. Maybe
Hmm.
maybe your goal is to take your kids on that trip, right? You want to
Right.
take them to those ruins and hike them up there. Like, that is something that is tangible.
Yeah.
When people have goals and they have goals to set, things have a tendency to fall in line, right? I mean, it's the simple fact of having a date and something to approach
Mhm.
every day to chip away at. That the idea of that is very motivating for most.
Yeah, yeah. You do a lot of work. You've worked with, you've owned the gym for 15 years. You've done a lot of work with a
Hmm.
lot of different athletes, regular people, I'm sure grandmas, people that have medical
Hmm.
conditions, all kinds of stuff. In like, right now, I think the stuff I've been seeing you post about on social media has been more focusing on those people who are getting to our age, who may have been active in the past, athletes in the past, whatever else, who are now saying, like the Al Bundys, right? They can think back to when they were that guy in high school or college
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's like, I'm not that anymore, right? What are some of the challenges that you've seen that people, and how do people overcome the mindset of trying to get back what they had, but also understand where they are? Because I think that's kind of a
Right.
conflicting
Well,
conflicting mindset, right?
I think it all comes down. It's pretty simple. It comes down to not only not just getting rooted in the truth, right? In the moment, right?
Mhm.
What I love about former athletes is they have that mindset, is that they know that deep down inside, they know how to turn that back on. They remember what it felt like to be competitive and how
Mhm.
great it felt to be chasing someone or something in the gym, or,
Yeah, yeah.
run fast, or be able to throw a javelin, or, you know, skateboard, or rock climb, or whatever, whatever got them going.
Mhm.
Um, and having that visual and knowing that feeling is something to draw strength from, right? And so shifting your mindset and saying, you know what, I'm going to take a competitive approach and carve out time and space in my life so that I can be a little bit selfish, so that I can be a better person for the
Yeah.
people around us, I think is the biggest component for people. Um,
Do you
I
do you
think
think
that right
no,
now
good.
it's even worse because of the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
We've got people that have been stuck inside, that have been told to just stay where they need to be safe, and it's important for sure,
Mhm.
right? But in that same breath, I know there's a lot of people that are sitting dying inside and need to get out, be active. We're all human. To move, to feel alive, and to feel great again.
Mhm.
Um, so changing, you know, you gotta you gotta get rooted in the truth. You gotta change your mindset. You gotta put yourself in the place of get some support for yourself. Typically, I mean, I don't want to say hire a coach, but it may be the best way to go at this point. And
Even if it's not a
write down
coach.
your goals, right?
Yeah.
Short-term goals,
Yeah.
long-term goals, and then let's, get after it. It doesn't have to happen 5 days a week, you know.
Right.
You
And
know.
and a goal for everyone listening. Remember, a goal is not just what you want to do, but when you want to do it. You got to put a stamp, like, I'm going to do what I need to do and get this done by this date. If you miss it and you tried your best, that's fine. If you don't even have a date, then you've got nothing to determine, did I try? Do I care? Like, it just doesn't work without
100%, I
it.
think
Yeah.
that, again, also just getting real about like where they are, right? Where they are and what's going to happen next in life, right?
Mhm.
Like, can we get them to visualize what that next step is for them, right?
Right.
Is it a vacation? Is it a trip? Um, is it just playing football in the backyard with their kids and not being out of shape? And is it coming off injury because they've had 2 knee injuries and they're full of fear about training again, right? That's a big hurdle to get over. But that's another one, right? We see people, oh, I'm just too old. Oh, my knees ache all the time,
Yeah.
right? Like, part of that we got to peel back the onion
Mhm.
by getting rooted in mental prep, getting assessed, and then finding someone you can trust, and then starting slowly with some training, and see if we can't adjust the nutrition and the sleep so that things start to feel better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
30 more minutes of sleep a night
Oh my
can make a
gosh.
dramatic difference
Yeah.
in
You're
terms, it does for
you're
me from time to
yeah,
time.
you're actually just leading into what my next question was going to be. What are some of the things that us old folk need to rethink about our training that will help us sustain it? So we talk about having a good mindset and starting slow. Those are good tactics on making sure that you can
Right.
sustain. what are some of the other pieces to what we may have done when we were 20 or 25 versus what we do now
Well,
that has to be different?
for certain, limiting training time and limiting volume. Those are two huge components that, I think most of the people in the masters community, and the masters meaning just anybody above 35, have realized over time that your body just breaks down. It doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
But the numbers are there and they don't lie, in terms of your central nervous system recovering from training. So, limiting volume, limiting training days, taking your rest days for real, actually taking full days off. And then the sleep and nutrition components are paramount to decreasing inflammation, to increasing central nervous system recovery and muscle tissue recovery in between training sessions.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Yeah,
You
I see it.
You can also supplement, right? There's some supplements that'll help. I'm not a big supplement guy, but there's some minimal stuff you can take.
Yeah, well, speaking of supplements, just a little segue is I actually have been reading a little bit more and talking to some people about creatine. And I always looked at creatine as, okay, yeah, great, but there's all these side effects. It increases inflammation. It does all this other stuff. But I don't know if there's just been new information that's come out over the past 5, 10 years, but I have not heard anybody say anything negative about creatine in the last couple of years. Like everybody and people that I personally, highly respect in the field, in the industry, are saying, yeah, everybody should be doing creatine. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, I think products have improved. I
Yeah.
think again the science, even though a lot of supplements are not, the supplement community is obviously, as we know, not regulated very well.
Mhm.
You need to be careful about what you're taking, where you're getting it. But creatine can be a very powerful tool. Again, it's not something I take, but
Yeah.
I have tried it a couple of times. I just don't like feeling bloated. I'm a regular eater.
Mhm.
The only supplement I really take is caffeine. drink my coffee in the morning,
Right there with you.
and
Yeah.
that's about it, to be honest with you.
Mhm. Okay. Um, what are you when you look at training? Uh, I guess we could say, the traditional CrossFit concept methodology, right, is broad modal domains. If you had to create a hierarchy for somebody in our circumstance, in our age, or someone, whether it's someone who's done stuff in the past or never done anything, like where would you have those people start from the types of movements they're doing and what their expectations for themselves should be?
Well, that's a pretty broad question. I would
It
say
is.
that,
It is. Yeah.
a 40-year-old guy who's getting off the couch, who was a former athlete, um, we would do a relative strength assessment,
Hmm.
see where they're at with a squat, a deadlift, a press, and a pull.
Right.
I do some sort of, not some sort of, we would do a monostructural high intensity test, some sort of, you know, capacity assault bike test, just to see what they can do in a 3-minute time domain.
Hmm.
Um, Nothing terrible, but that's going to be uncomfortable. We need to see sort of where we're at with that. I would look at a monostructural test on a row, and then you know I would probably finish it up with some sort of longer lower aerobic piece if I had my choice.
Right. Right.
Just so we're kind of hitting all modalities, and just sort of what I'd love to see in people is balance when they're growing correctly, and their wheels heading in the right direction, right?
Hmm.
Things are kind of moving slowly, but the metrics are improving over time,
Right.
and we really buy into just basic fundamental good mechanics and repeatable action, right? So
That's
get
the key right there. Repeatable actions. I love that.
getting getting their squat perfect.
Hmm.
um you know Anyone needs to back squat 400 pounds and they're 40, right? but back squatting your body weight
Right.
for 10 reps would be astronomically great, right?
Right. Right. That's functional,
Right.
right? That is
Absolutely.
using your body in a real world. Hey, you have the strength and endurance or stamina to do
Do
this.
old guys need to deadlift? Eh, old guys need to be able to pick up enough weight that that is functional, right?
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. And what you're talking about, which I like, is having a benchmark. And I think a lot of people go into starting a fitness routine, regardless of the background, and particularly for people who used to be athletes, their benchmark is what they used to do. Oh, I used to be able to bench 300 pounds. I used to be able to deadlift
back in high
500
school,
pounds,
I had a 225 bench press, right?
you
For
know,
10
right.
reps, right?
And they come in now and they're like, okay, I got to get started. And that's what they have. Because I know when I first kind of got into it, these are the things I'm thinking to myself.
Right.
And it took me a while to kind of go, hey, I'm not that guy anymore.
Well, that's
You
why
know?
good coaches really you know, sit down and get into the facts. And the assessment shows us exactly where we are as athletes, not
Yeah.
at 24, but at 48.
Yeah.
Um,
You have,
injuries are profound in the masters community, right? And I think it's an interesting component that everybody gets injured. I think the longer you're on the planet, the more damage gets piled up just from
yeah,
sitting at a desk. Um, Dysfunction kind of just goes, right. Gravity weighs on the body, and often the gym is to blame for many things that it has nothing to do with.
right.
Um,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
so being cognizant of what your limitations are physiologically is something that needs to be assessed by a coach, um, and can be done even over on the internet. But
Yep.
we can see what's happening, especially at the shoulder girdle and your spine, your hamstrings. Those are all limiters that are huge as you age. And those are things that definitely need to be paid attention to. Are you going to gain a ton of flexibility, if you want to call it? No, but the goal is to be out of pain, right? The goal is, in my mind, for all of our clients, is to sleep better, is to wake up with energy, is to not feel like you're 80 years old when you get up and go to work.
Mhm.
And so that is a major component when it comes to anybody over 40 years of age,
Right.
I would say,
Right.
is
I look at it
take a look at
like
those components.
investments. I look at it like investments, right? As we get older, we have to be able to play it a little more safe with our investments, because if we take a wrong step, then we have a higher risk of really messing up our investment future, right? The money that we could potentially earn. And it's the same with our
Absolutely.
health. As we get older, an injury impacts me more at 50 than it does when I'm 20. I've got less time.
100%.
It takes a lot harder. It's a lot harder to heal from it, like all that stuff. So you got to be a lot more deliberate in how you're balancing your life and
I mean,
your
it's
exercise.
so much farther beyond just doing box jumps, right?
Right,
We're
right.
at a place where we need to take the machine apart and make sure the shoulders actually lock out overhead. And if they don't, we need to address that and make sure we're not loading our clients vertically over and over again, right?
Mhm.
So a very smart program is going to, right, be tailored to your needs.
Yep.
Really understand what Bronson's going through, and what the ultimate goal is. Still, if it
Absolutely.
is to snatch, we're going to have to address the shoulder situation at some point. But most
Right.
people don't need to snatch.
Most
Let's face it.
absolutely. I can't believe a CrossFit person is saying that.
Well, that's just reality.
It is. Well, it's funny because you know how dogma gets, and it's a fundamental. It's something we all have to do. It's part of every CrossFit gym. You got to do
Here, let
snatch.
me blow your mind. Nobody needs to do kipping pull-ups.
Oh my goodness. What?
Let me blow your mind.
Yeah. There's
I mean,
they're great displays. It's like I don't know if you know who Jason Brown is from box programming. He's famous for saying that you know, Olympic lifting doesn't develop power. It's a great display of power, but it doesn't develop power. There's a bazillion other things that you can do to develop power in a person, in an athlete, and the complexity and the risk level of Olympic lifting to train power just isn't there.
mhm.
And it just people, and he breaks it down. It's
it's an
interesting.
it's an interesting perspective
Yeah,
for sure.
how
I think
how
there's some
everything
validity.
can be looked at a little differently, but
Well, I think that like, it's not so black and white. I know that was a kind of a bold statement I just said
Yeah,
about
yeah,
pull-ups, but like, I'm a firm believer that different people learn things differently, right? Their brains process things differently.
absolutely.
The physiology of the human body for different folks is invariantly different. Like some people just internally rotate and naturally do that, right? Does that mean butterfly pull-ups are bad? Well, for a lot of people that lack the strength around the shoulder girdle, yes,
Hmm.
but not necessarily, especially when you're just trying to communicate with a client in a gym and they don't understand why their shoulders don't work a certain way, right?
Hmm.
We understand the inherent risks, but then we step them back and we understand, we teach them the value of what we're trying to teach them and why. And when they have why, things have a tendency to fall in line and make a little more sense.
It all goes back to that, right? It all goes through the why. What's the goal? Why are you doing this in the first place? Right. And that's the path that you're on.
Olympic lifting's fantastic. It's super fun.
Oh,
And
I love it. I mean, for me, like, my program is all, like I said, dumbbells, kettlebells, and bands. When I do stuff at the gym physically, I get barbells involved and do that stuff. It's a great way to add some variety, some, learning some new things, expose people to stuff they've never seen before.
right.
And it
Well,
creates
since
some
the
more.
pandemic, we've been outside for almost a year with the majority of our clients, and
Mm,
they've been using dumbbells,
yeah.
jump ropes, kettlebells, and ab mats for primarily all of the programming and training.
Okay.
And there's this inherent fear that when they return to the gym, that all will be lost, and it's just not the case.
Right.
It's not the case at all, right? They're actually in some capacities fitter because they've been having to move and move well, and do a lot of functional bodybuilding because that's
Mhm.
what I mean. What else? How many more times are you going to dumbbell snatch or front rack lunge or
Right.
right? Like so,
Rear delt flies, bench flies. Yeah, get them.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. And they'll find when they do get back on a barbell that, not only there may be a slighter deterioration of some of the skill, but the skill is generally that once you learn how to ride a bike, you know how to ride a bike. So once you learn how to do it clean, you're not going to forget how to do it clean. There may be some tweaking and some movement stuff that you need to tweak, get back to the same level, but the basics are going to be there.
For sure.
But all the other stuff that they've gotten out of what they've been doing for the past year, they could potentially, you may have people who haven't touched a barbell in 8 months get on a barbell and PR clean,
100%.
you know,
Looking forward to that.
right? And then their minds are like, well, what am I doing? What? I don't understand.
But we were just doing planks. Yeah.
Right.
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 So tell me a little bit about what you're doing, where your focus is and what you're doing with where you're at now. Like you still have the gym, but you're
So
doing other stuff
yeah,
too.
I have the gym. I started a online gymnastics program many years ago called the Skill Wad, and it's just it's a low barrier of entry style training program where you can purchase training programs that'll help you develop skills, right? Whether it's
I
the
don't
ring
think
muscle
I
up or
ever knew that was you.
handstand push up or and then I blended a gymnastic style training program together that just runs concurrently, and it's 3 times a week.
Okay.
It usually has a warm up mobility piece to it, and then a component that will help develop strict strength,
Yeah.
push pull, muscle up style stuff geared towards CrossFitters. And that's been successful we're going on 2015, so 6 years that's been going
Wow.
on. I continue to train and coach people remotely and in person at the gym. And I've just been working on a new project that's not quite ready yet, but it's going to be a new. This is what I'm gathering research on, and that's what I've been doing on some of my Facebook posts. Is
Yeah.
working with former athletes, putting together a training program and method that will allow them really individualized training that is encompassing sort of those 4 pillars we were just talking about,
Yeah.
and keeping it pretty goal specific. So, you know, um, people could reach out to me if they're looking to really make a change, and
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about dramatic change. This isn't, this isn't, I'm going to go buy a program and it's a PDF download and I'm going to go do some bodybuilding and we'll see where it takes me. This is going to
Right.
be like, I'm going to contact Dusty and I'm ready to make a serious change in my life and I'm going to do it. And we're going to work together and we're going to set some goals and we're going to go take it down.
Okay. Nice.
So I just,
I think people need that push, right? Someone to say, look, I'm going to do this. You have to, they want to know that someone's there with them. Like it's not, they're not on their own.
I really enjoy coaching and I really enjoy connecting with people. And when you find the people that are motivated and are in a situation or a position where they need your help and they're grateful for it and they will do it, I am 100% in. And
Yeah.
so what I really am going to be spending the next little bit of time as we get our way out of the pandemic is fashioning this training program so that it is the best delivered one-on-one training experience that I can muster. Meaning, we'll have a way to interact, right? We'll have a
Right.
better way to deliver programming, provide feedback, get information back. We'll take a look at all of those components we've just been chatting about,
Right.
whether it's nutrition, it's sleep, it's recovery, it's strain. Training becomes goal specific, and then the accountability factor is high, right? You're going to have access, to me. So
Right.
that's my plan.
Cool, man.
We'll
Awesome.
see how
Awesome.
it unfolds.
Yeah. Make sure when, you let me know when that goes live, when you're ready to do that, I'll
For
definitely share
sure.
that out. Cause I think there's so many people that need it. And we talked about it before we started recording is there's so many people out there. Right. We're going to do, we both kind of do similar stuff, but not similar at the same time. We have
Right.
similar demographics age wise, but you're focusing a lot on athletes. I'm focusing a lot more on regular people. But that doesn't mean either of us couldn't help people. Like we got
Absolutely.
voices out there. There's millions of
There's
people. Like it doesn't matter.
there's so many folks out there that are going to be in much need of coaching over the next period of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's a question. How do you think, I know everyone knows virtual is here to stay. Is the brick and mortar gym dead?
not at all.
No? Do you think
I don't think
that's
so.
no?
No. I think that there's a lot of people that really. I think there's a generation of folks that are not making enough money to train at home, nor would they want to do that. There's this social environment in situation where you need physical interaction with people,
Yeah.
right? So there's going to be people that are constantly going to be filling up the gyms, and then there's going to be a group of folks that can afford one-on-one training and have the time, space, and effort to do it at home or on their own. I
Mhm.
think there's going to be another sect of people. There will be a combination of those two things, right? Where they're going to want to go in and use a gym a couple of days a week and then have a coach. So I think that there's going to be space for all of these things. Is the group class dead? I don't think so. It's not been dead for 30 years. I mean, it started
Right.
with jazzercise, right? Now it's strength training and conditioning. People like that stuff,
Right.
and they should. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to go to a gym. I love going. I own a gym, and I go to the gym to work out.
Right. Right.
Right? Like, do I train in my living room? Not if I had a choice.
Right. I've got stuff, but only because when like right now we're iced in. So I've got stuff
Right.
here. I can do stuff if I need to, but I definitely prefer going to the gym. Do you think this will be the last thing we can kind of end on this? It's kind of maybe a big one. I don't know. With all the stuff that's going on, there's the fear that's out there about disease and illness and whatever else.
Mhm.
One thing that I wish was more of a topic of discussion was the effect that being healthy has on reducing your risk, right?
Right.
The effect of removing lifestyle conditions, metabolic syndrome, cardiovascular, insulin resistance, diabetes, hypertension, all of these things are all lifestyle choices. They're all as a result of the things that we're doing. And I say choices liberally. A lot of people don't know, that they're making these choices. So there's an education piece there as well. But
Right.
when does that narrative, and how can we push that narrative forward, that getting in shape, going to the gym is probably the number one thing that you can do besides fixing your nutrition, but the two of those going hand in hand to reduce your risk?
Yeah. I think that every coach that cares about having a career um, in the next period of time better start screaming from the mountaintops on this subject alone.
Yeah.
I've watched time and again the people that are doers, the people that come to the gym. I got a guy who's been training with us for 15 years who was probably one of the healthiest guys I know. He's 61 now. Last year, was feeling like he was having a heavy heart.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting next to him on the bench because he always waits and watches everybody work out. And then I didn't hear from him for 3 days. And he drove himself to the hospital, and something was misfiring. And so they had to go in, open him up, and replace one of the valves on his heart. And he is already back at the gym. It's been a year and a half. He trains 3 times a week, just like I said.
Yep.
Comes and does our park classes. He's also a healthcare worker, and he was a doctor. So he was one of the people that just said, thank God I'd been training, because if I'd have been obese, if I'd have been out of shape, I may have never made it back here.
Right.
And yeah, he moves a little slower now, but like, I could have a heart attack. You could have a heart attack tomorrow, right? Things happen, but the way you prepare yourself for what is to come is a huge component to maintaining a healthy lifestyle and recovering from things that are bound to happen.
Right.
The nutrition and just general movement component is so huge. He told me, and he was a doctor, that he told me that anybody, because he works at a facility in Los Angeles, and he's had the vaccine and everything. He said that anybody that came into the ICU that was obese, less than 50% shot of making it out alive.
Wow.
That's a coin flip.
Yeah. Right.
Based on life choices.
Yeah.
I don't want to, some people have problems. Okay. But that was astounding to me, and scary.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because it's out of your hands at that point. When, if you're not doing things now, then when something does happens, you have no control. Like the only control you have is what you do before something happens.
100%. So yeah, I mean,
cool, man.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Where do people find you? Where can people follow you, find your info, website, social media,
Instagram, Facebook, Dusty Hyland, DUSTYHYLAND. You can go to www.theskillwad.com, and I am the co-owner of DogTown CrossFit in Palms, Culver City, Los Angeles, California. So www.dogtowncrossfit.com.
Awesome, man. Cool.
All right.
Cool. I will let you know when this thing goes live, but I really appreciate your time, man. You're a rock star in the CrossFit world, and just in helping people in general, man. I love it.
Thanks, buddy.
Take it
Nice
easy.
talking to you. Thanks, Bronson.